Have you ever fallen in love so deeply that it consumed your very being? Picture yourself embarking on a journey that starts with the sweet flutter of a young heart, the kind of love that poets write about and singers croon under the moonlit sky. You dive in, fearless and open, believing in the magic of a soulmate, thinking this bond could defy the mundane and touch the divine. As the days turn to months, each moment is a brushstroke on the canvas of your life, painting a picture of bliss and companionship. You share secrets like children exchange whispers in the dark, building a fortress of trust and dreams around you two. The laughter comes easy, the support steadfast, and every challenge seems surmountable as long as you face it together. But as in every fairy tale, darkness lurks. Doubts begin to creep in like shadows at dusk, slowly at first, then all at once. The once endearing quirks become unbearable flaws. Promises that were etched in stone now seem written in sand, washed away by the first wave of real adversity. The person who stood as your protector becomes the stranger in your midst, their words now carrying the chill of indifference, or worse, deceit. Through tears and sleepless nights, you grapple with the realization that not every love story is meant to last forever. Some chapters must end, not with a victorious flourish, but with a quiet closing of the book, leaving behind lessons learned and a heart wiser but wary. This is a tale of such a chapter, a fairy tale spun from romantic ideals and whispered promises, each word weaving a spell that ensnared a heart with its beguiling charm. He appeared like a shooting star streaking across the night sky, dazzling with charisma and igniting a fervent passion never known before. His presence was magnetic as he approached her, his steps measured, his eyes sparkling with mischief and warmth. With every stride, he seemed to draw in the very essence of the moonlight, casting an ethereal glow around him. He carried a bouquet of roses, their petals perfect and fragrant, red like the flush of dawn, and a box of chocolates, rich and dark, promising delights hidden within their silky depths. As he stood before her, the world seemed to pause. The air held its breath. He extended the roses, their stems wrapped in a delicate silver foil, catching the glint of the street lamps. Her hands trembled as she took them, her heart aflutter with a mixture of anticipation and wonder. The chocolates were next, offered with a flourish and a mischievous wink that promised shared secrets and laughter. Then he began to speak, his voice a soft caress against the cool night. Each word he uttered was a note in the symphony of his devotion, each phrase a thread weaving them closer together. "My little girl," he would murmur, his voice a velvet melody that seemed to resonate with the gentle rustling of the leaves above. "My tigress," he'd declare proudly, his tone imbuing her with a sense of strength and beauty. It was as if he saw her not just as she was, but as she could be, fierce and gentle in equal measure. He was not just proclaiming his love, he was inviting her into a saga of romance, crafted with affectionate caresses and whispered promises. "My little girl," he would murmur, his voice a velvet melody. "My tigress," he'd declare, as if she possessed the ferocity of a wild cat and the gentleness of a kitten all at once. His words were poetry to her ears, his gestures painting a picture of a love so pure, so all-encompassing, that she could scarcely believe it was real. Each syllable he uttered was wrapped in layers of warmth and sincerity. His eyes, deep and expressive, seemed to echo every emotion he articulated, making her feel as if she were the only woman in the world. He professed she was his first and only love, that in her he had found the missing piece of his soul that he had been searching for his life. With every touch and every smile, he conveyed an intimacy that whispered of eternal togetherness. The setting sun cast a golden glow around them, the world turning soft and amber, as if even the heavens were conspiring to write their love story. Trees swayed gently in the breeze, a silent symphony to their romance. He held her hands in his thumbs gently stroking her skin, as if to memorize the feel of her. He spoke of dreams and futures, of houses filled with laughter and walls lined with pictures of their shared joy. She listened, her heart swelling with a mix of awe and fear that this might be too good to last, too perfect to be true. But as he looked into her eyes, with a vulnerability so stark, she felt a surge of trust, a belief that maybe, just maybe, this could be forever. And oh, how she drank in his declarations like a parched wanderer stumbling upon an oasis in the desert, desperate for the oasis of affection he offered. Together they embarked on a journey, intertwining their lives in a dance of shared dreams and whispered secrets. Their connection at first seemed magical, each moment filled with laughter and soft looks exchanged under the moonlight. They built a world around each other, their hopes weaving a tapestry of potential futures, vibrant and full of promise. As days turned to learning and growing together in a symphony of experiences. But as they waltzed deeper into the labyrinth of love, she began to notice subtle shifts in his demeanor, the shadows lurking beneath the facade of adoration. More pronounced with time. His smiles were fewer, his words sometimes sharp, like thorns hidden among soft petals. The gentle teasing they once shared now had an edge, leaving tiny scratches on her heart. Doubts crept in like unwelcome shadows at dusk, tarnishing the golden hues of their early days. The laughter that once filled their space became scarce, replaced by a silence that hung heavily between them. In the heat of their arguments, which were once rare but now more frequent, she found herself cast as the villain, the scapegoat for all their woe. Of innocence, always seeming to remain above the fray. Each accusation he lobbed at her was deflected back with an artful dodge, maintaining the illusion of his perfection. While he played the role of the blameless martyr, his halo untarnished by fault or flaw. His jealousy smoldered like embers beneath the surface, erupting into fiery outbursts over imagined slights and perceived betrayals. Each glance she gave another, every minute spent without him, added kindling to his inner conflagration. The smallest of events, trivial to any onlooker, were magnified in his eyes to outrageous proportions. A missed phone call was not merely a lapse in communication, it was a secret being whispered behind his back. A smile shared with a coworker across the room was, in his mind, a prelude to betrayal. His thoughts twisted every innocent interaction into a sinister plot, leaving him tormented by his own conjured demons. She could feel the heat of his distrust as it scorched their conversations, leaving behind a charred landscape where once there was laughter and warmth. No reassurance could quench the fire. No explanation was enough to douse the burning suspicion that consumed him. Even the most innocuous of actions, like a missed phone call or a friendly conversation with a coworker, became fodder for his insecurities, fueling his suspicions and igniting the flames of his rage. She tried to rationalize his behavior, attributing it to his overwhelming love for her, his fear of losing the precious bond they shared. Every excuse she made for him seemed to embolden his actions further. She believed that his intense emotions stemmed from a deep-seated passion and a protective instinct to preserve what they had. As days turned into weeks, she clung to memories of happier times when laughter filled their days and their love seemed unshakable. However, this romantic view began to crumble as his true nature surfaced. The once minor irritants grew into undeniable issues. It started subtly. Suggestions turned into demands and concerns became prohibitions. She found herself recounting stories of their past, trying desperately to piece together the fragments of the loving man she once knew. Friends began to voice their concerns, noting the isolation she was plunging into. Her world had shrunk dramatically, confined within the walls he built around her. Every social interaction was monitored, every outfit pre-approved, and every decision scrutinized. His justifications always circled back to the dangers of the world, the need to protect their sacred connection from those who might envy or disrupt it. But with each passing day, the cracks in their relationship widened, revealing the ugly truth lurking beneath the surface. He controlled her every move, dictating whom she could see, where she could go, and even what she could wear, all under the guise of protecting their love from outside threats. And though she longed to break free from the suffocating grip of his possessiveness, she found herself ensnared in a web of dependency, unable to extricate herself from the toxic cycle of manipulation and emotional abuse. She became a prisoner of his love, sacrificing her autonomy and self-worth on the altar of his insatiable need for control. In the end, it was not she who walked away from him, but he who discarded her like a broken doll, casting her aside with callous indifference once he had grown tired of his plaything. And as she picked up the shattered fragments of her heart, she realized that the greatest love story of all was not the one she had shared with him, but the one she would ultimately discover within herself, a love that was boundless, unconditional, and fiercely resilient in the face of adversity. This journey taught her the profound truth that real love nurtures and supports, never confines or controls. Through her trials, she emerged not weakened, but stronger, with a newfound appreciation for her own strength and worth.